think remote work is even a scam. I had applied 500. If I am being conservative, I'm an MBA graduate too. Like, I'm not going back to Nigeria.
We are joined today by a growth expert, a business and strategy leader with 10 plus years of experience scaling fintech and consumer-facing platforms, driving multi-location expansion, and the general manager of Café One. She would be talking about leadership, community, and how she grows businesses.
So job search is mentally exhausting. I was on a train and I was talking to my sister and then my dad, and they were just both trying to encourage me, and I just broke down and I was wailing. And my dad is like, why are you crying? And people were like, are you mad? You know, like, what do you mean you're coming back to Nigeria? 5 years later, it makes so much sense why God wanted me here. One of my mentors, and he said to me, he said, Kelechi, you have to learn to die to self. So now, how do I handle conflict? How do I handle politics? How do I handle it? As the CEO, as a leader of a business,
Yes.
You don't have to be the expert in finance, but you have to be... I don't want to lead people the way I was led when I was younger. I think it is possible to be empathetic and be excellent. I should be the best at what I'm doing.
Yes. What is the future of Café One?
Because our name is Café One doesn't mean we're only about coffee. If you asked me 3 years ago about Café One, I'd say we're a coffee shop. At the core of everything that Café One does, you would see that the central theme is community. If you look at the logo, it's...
We started a business at 16, failed. Another one at 17, failed.
I'm an expert filler.
Based on what you know now, what do you think was the issue then?
So the issue was that...
Hello there, Tola Flaka here. Yes, it's a new show and it's brought to you by Café One Studios. Café One Studios is out to create some of the biggest, best content across Africa and to the world. And I happen to be one of the pioneers of one of their first shows and podcasts. On our podcast, we'll be having some amazing guests that are here to stimulate and steer your mind into thinking for possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to subscribe, like, leave a comment to help the algorithm share this video to a wider audience. Let's get into the conversation. Hello people, welcome to another amazing episode. My name is Tola Flaka. This episode is brought to you by Café One Studios. And I'm very excited today because Café One's number one is here.
Scam.
My boss, you allow me to introduce you first.
No vex. My name is Kelechi.
Yes. Kelechi Nwaozuzu is a computer science graduate from Covenant University. She has gone on to build a successful career from banking into becoming the general manager of Café One. She's also a growth strategist. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited because I'm also anxious because I have my boss in front of me. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelechi Nwaozuzu, how are you?
I'm good. I
always ask that question again. How are you, Kelechi? How grateful are you? What is happening?
How am I? So every time people ask, you just say I'm fine. But really, I'm really thankful. So last night, just before I put down my phone, I was ranting for a minute about everything that was going on. Yes. But then I saw on someone's WhatsApp status something about, what a joy it is to be overwhelmed by the job you prayed for, by the goals you said. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe God wanted me to see this because I was really like, but yes, so I'm really thankful. There's always so much going on. Yes. There's always so much going on, but I'm thankful. I'm happy. No, not happy. I'm joyful. I'm joyful. And because joy is not a reflection of what's going on around you. Yes. It's very internal. So yes, and then I'm alive and I'm well. I'm physically well, mentally well, emotionally well. So yes, that's
interesting. Interesting about your what you said that people. It's a beautiful thing to even feel overwhelmed by the jobs you desired. I remember reading from you at a time where you said when you started your first job, you were in a downfall, and then you were looking at your company and from afar, and you were like, you just kept going and going and going. The salary was not excellent, but you kept pushing. Looking back from then to now, what has really changed?
To be honest, nothing. Nothing has changed. And I think I remember telling that story because there's even a video of me, just talking about how excited I was showing up to work every day. And just being, I think what drives me has never really been money. It's always just been passion and the love for what I do and for people. So I don't think much has changed from that time till now. I'm still as excited. I think the day, and I said this about almost 10 years ago, and I'm saying it again today. The day I stop being excited, the day I lose that joy, then you know that it's time for me to retire. Yeah, the day I lose that excitement for work, then it's time for me to retire. So, but for now, still excited, still thankful that I get to do what I do. And yeah, just, yeah.
Wow, Kelechi, you have a very unique story, because I don't know how I'll put it.
It's not that unique now.
So I'm aware you went to FGGC Owerri.
Jesus Christ.
And are you a Nepo baby first? Before I
I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not too. I see, forget all this packaging.
You.
Ajekbako.
As how now?
Like, so you know when, forgive me, I'm going to,
Yeah, feel free.
to the, when Apostle Paul was saying that I know how to be abound and I know how to be abased. That is me. If you take me inside, the Bako side of me will come out.
Uh-huh.
So you know, it's just packaging. So
Yeah.
don't be deceived.
But you speak so well. Of course, yes, she's a communication expert as well. And you speak so well and all of that. But what was the young Kelechi like? What was the dream? Because your story is very, I don't know how to put it. You did computer science. I see communications. I see you went to do your MBA at Essex. That's why I said she's a Nepo baby.
I'm not joking. There's a whole story there.
Yes.
But so I don't think I have changed. If you meet someone who knew me 20 years ago, I'm young, I'm very young. Don't be deceived.
No,
I was about to say
okay.
30 years ago, and I'm like, no, there's nobody that I'm my 30 years. So people who knew me maybe in primary school, they'll tell you that it's still the same person that was. I used to be shy, right? I used to be very shy. But I think I discovered that the solution to my shyness was just putting myself out there more.
Yeah.
So I started putting myself out there more. One thing I can say is I was very smart. I don't think it was because I wanted to. I just had my siblings. I'm the third of 4 children. So I had my 2 older siblings.
Yes.
They were super smart. And they used to always confess in class. So imagine being the sibling of 2 people ahead of you that were intelligent. You don't have a choice.
Yes.
So there was always that pressure, to do well. There was always that pressure to be, the best at what I was doing. So I was just always there. Some people used to say, oh, she's a Tuza queen, but I'm like, people will be fine.
Yes.
But then like coming to Federal Girls, still the same story. Then Covenant. I think the consistent thing has always been I've always loved getting involved in things that I enjoyed doing.
Yes.
So if I find something that I enjoy doing, I want to stick to it. So how did I come to comms? So 3rd year, you have to go on IT, and I was studying computer science. Everybody programmed this. Python was getting popular, C++, Java. And I mean, so we've established the fact that I was a smart child,
Yes.
right? But I just did not feel very excited by
About it.
programming. But I knew I could not fail because I knew that my father was sweating to pay my school fees
Yes.
in CU. But then I go on IT, and my dad got me this nice place with one of his, I don't know how he knows the guy, but then I was working with the guy. It was a tech company, and I was miserable. So I think a month in, I go online one day, and I see that Ventures Africa was recruiting. I'm like, okay. So I had just applied, just random stuff, just applied. And then I got called back, I think for an interview. Long story short, they didn't offer me the job. And I'm like, tech is being real. Even though I joined Ventures Africa under the guise of being like a web intern.
Yes.
But I worked there for a couple of months. In the middle of that, I discovered that I really liked storytelling. And so one day I was a bit free, and I went to meet the editor-in-chief at the time.
Yes.
And I said to him, like, I want to try my hands on writing an article. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I wrote something, and he read it, and he was like, okay, not bad, like, not too bad. He didn't make a lot of changes. And so from that day, my role then shifted from being just a web intern to I started writing when I had the time. And then I started, helping with, like, videos, with scripting, with all of this interesting stuff. One of the things I spent a lot of time doing at Ventures was transcribing interviews. So Ventures used to interview a lot of people for their magazine. Yes. So I would listen to hours and hours of interviews, and I would just have to type it out. And I just discovered that I liked what I was doing. It didn't matter that Ventures office was a bit farther from the other one. It didn't matter that my dad could not pick me up anymore, and I had to hustle and find my way home. It didn't matter. Like, I just loved being there. It did help, though. They were paying me a little bit more money than my other internship place, so it did help. I'm not gonna lie. So towards the end of my internship, then like, okay, you're going back to Covenant. what are you going to tell your department that you did for 6 months? How are you going to explain that you were supposed to go and learn computer science and you ended up learning communications and writing and storytelling and all of those things? And then I remember just sitting down and crafting this beautiful story about how, I started off with web design, with the other tech thing, and I should have just crafted it. I don't know, hey, well done. I got an A in my sideways. But I knew from that moment that I didn't want to be a programmer. To be honest, I knew for my first year. But then I was more certain now that I did not want to be a programmer. And so it was from then, this was 2014, I started to think, okay, how do I make the shift? How do I make the shift? So fast forward to post-NYSC 2016, I get a job with Union Bank, and it was under their management training program. And so thankfully, that was the time when banks were just trying to redefine themselves. Okay. And so they were not just hiring people and throwing them to the branch. So what they were doing was they were curating like this 1-year program, in some cases 2 years, in some cases 18 months. But for Union Bank, it was about a year, where they would train you and you'd work in different departments. And then at the end of the 1 year, you can then choose the one you wanted to be in. Before I even joined, I had gone to a friend and I said to him, see the things I like traveling. I like writing. I like events. I like this. I like that. I had an events planning company at the time. So I told him all those things. I said, is there any department in the bank that can use these skills? And he said, oh, yes, there's a department. It comes on corporate communications and corporate affairs. I'm like, that's where I want to be. He said, it's easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for you to get into corporate affairs. I said, don't worry. It's between me and my God, but that's where I want to be. And as God will have it, I was very lucky. I was the only one, I think, who had the opportunity to work in that department. And I was the only one, I was the first. Anyway, long story short, that was how I got retained in that department. And that's how I made the
And that was
switch.
How you got into banking?
That's how I got into comms in banking.
So
I got into banking through the management training program. The typical stuff, you do banking school for a couple of months. And then I think they had sent me to a couple of places. I worked in the branch. I worked in compliance. I worked in risk. But when I worked in the comms team, I think my second week there, they just said, do you want to stay back? I'm like, are you asking me? So I was like, yeah, I really want to be here. Because the thing with me is, if I'm excited about something, it just shows, right? It shows. I remember going for an interview a couple of years ago. I think it was KPMG. At the assessment center, the assessors are normally you wouldn't know whether you've passed these things, but the assessor looked at me and says, I can tell that you really want to be here and I know you will fit in. So I knew that day that I had gotten in. But yeah, I picked Union Bank over KPMG, but that's a different story for another day too.
They will drag you.
I know they will drag me, but it's okay. No, I mean, there was a time in my life where I thought I was going to work in KPMG. There was no other option, but I mean, God had other plans.
Wow. Okay. I have so many questions in between because you said so many things. Okay. So one of because Kelechi, you're also very creative. I saw you used to draw.
Oh yes, I used to draw.
Can you draw?
I'm sure it's still there somewhere. I was the president of Arts Club.
Wow.
I was a science student, but I was the president of Fine Arts Club in FGGC for the year that I was, like 2 years or so. I used to sketch. I was more of a sketch, and then I tried painting. I used to do like landscape drawings. Every time I tried still life, I would just run away. But yeah, I was a bit creative.
I see you as a multi-potentialite because I've seen you in every aspect. Literally, recently you were talking to us about generator issues. We'll get there. And so what, because you did creativity. Now you got computer science. That science. You went into banking. And then you went to Sterling as well. So what were you doing for Sterling? Okay, so I was at Union Bank for a couple of years, and as much as I loved what I was doing, there was a point where that excitement started to reduce. I think it was more with the work environment, some of the people, and then I just started feeling stuck. I started feeling stuck, and I cannot be bored, right? Yes.
So around that time, an opportunity came for me to go and do an MBA. I never wanted to do a master's degree. I was one of those people, in CU then, you just meet people and say, after I'm done with CU, I'll go and do master's. And I was not interested. I always knew that if I was going to do a master's of any sort, it was not going to be just because. It was going to be because it was tied to what I was supposed to do in life. I don't know if that makes any sense. I didn't just want to tick the box. So when that opportunity came, it was on a part scholarship. I was like maybe 75% scholarship, and it was an opportunity that was too good to turn down. And I just felt, again, that excitement. So yeah, let's go. I went to do the MBA. Post MBA, I'm trying to get back into like comms. I'm doing small stuff on the side. I'm doing just a lot, but I didn't feel like I had gotten that thing,
spark.
you know. And so one day, a friend of mine, hey, he just sends me a message like, "Oh, Sterling Bank is hiring." I'm like, "Okay, nice, congrats."
Who's that friend?
Yeah, I was like, "Congrats to them." So funny story, and I hope you see this video. The same person who hired me into Union Bank was the same person. So at that time, he had moved from Union Bank to Sterling Bank. But that's not just it. He had moved to Sterling Bank, and then he had moved to the UK as well. He came to my school to do a master's, but he was still working with Sterling. Sterling is a fantastic place to work, by the way. Shout out to
Sterling.
Shout out to Sterling. So he's doing his work with Sterling, and he's doing his MBA, you know, as well. So he just sent me a message. We're in the same city, right? I had finished. So he's like, "Oh, Sterling is hiring. You should apply." I'm like, "Congrats to them." I sent it to people I knew. I'm like, "I'm not going back to Nigeria." And then I think the day before it was supposed to close, he sends me another message. "Did you apply?" I said, "No." He said, "Just apply. You never know, you know." I was like, "Okay, no problem." Reluctantly, I remember exactly where I was. I reluctantly just clicked on the link and filled in all the things. And because I was going through like that period where you're looking for a proper job and you're doing so many interviews, I wasn't turning down any interview opportunity. I was like, "Yeah, let's sharpen those skills." So I went through all of the stages for the Sterling job, and I think when I knew that I had gotten it, I was sad. Like, I was not excited. I was sad because I then had to make a decision. Am I going to take this job and go back to Nigeria? But I don't want to go back to Nigeria. Like, why? You know? So I set a couple of conditions, and I'm like, okay, if this happens, that doesn't happen, then I'll take the job.
Yes.
So the day that I knew that I had to take the job, it wasn't just about the job waiting for me. It was, I'm a woman of faith. I'm a woman under authority. So when I was sure that was the step God wanted me to take, I cried. It didn't make it easier. It didn't make, and people were like, "Are you mad? You know, like, what do you mean you're coming back to Nigeria?" Long story. But 5 years later, it makes so much sense why God wanted me here. So I came back to Sterling and joined Sterling for a couple of years. And then I think maybe 2 years after, I joined Café One, and I've been with Café One ever since.
Yes.
So.
Okay. I don't want us to rush into Café One yet.
Okay.
I want everyone to see the progression
Okay.
of your story. Okay. So, but prior to that, I read you say you had applied at various places and you were getting rejections. Some were not even responding.
Oh, Lord.
What were you doing in those phases? How did you get through all of that? And was it part of the reasons why you didn't want to come back to Nigeria and all of that?
Well, so I knew that I was not dumb, first of all.
Of course.
I knew that I wasn't dumb.
Top 5% business school, Essex.
It's not just top 5, maybe top 1% in my year. Like, I knew that I was not dumb. I had graduated with a good result. I had experience. I knew, I'm like, you don't know what you're missing. Just hire me, you know. And when you're in that phase where you're looking for a job, I am very empathetic towards anybody who is in that phase right now. Because it can mess with your psyche, it can mess with your mind. And then there's so many people, different advices, different advisors. People are just saying all sorts. So I remember one day I went online and somebody was saying like, "Oh, keep a spreadsheet of all the jobs you're applying for, or just keep track."
Yes.
By the time I kept track and I reached like 200, I was about to run mad.
200.
I'm saying like that I kept track. Oh. This was
You applied for 200 jobs.
I was already in the middle of my job search. So I started applying for jobs the week I got to the UK. My MBA was just starting. I started applying for jobs in September of 2019. We are now in September of 2020. MBA is done. I think I just submitted my dissertation. My final results didn't come out until December or so. So I think maybe we're at this point, January of 2021. I had applied for, God knows, like maybe if I'm being conservative, maybe like 500. If I am
500
being conservative. If I'm being conservative, I was just applying. I was applying for the ones that I was qualified for. I was applying for the ones that I was underqualified. I was applying for the ones that I was overqualified. And it was so devastating. And I was changing my strategy. I was editing my CV for every job. I was doing everything. That there was a period when me and ATS, because people say, oh no, it's ATS that's screening you out. I would try to make sure ATS, I think it's an automatic something. Used to help people
jobs,
sort
yes.
out CVs and stuff.
everything.
I would check, maybe look at a job description, look at my CV, and ask the ATS skinny, oh, well, how does it compare? It's like, oh, 100%. I would apply, still nothing. And it took a toll on me. I'm not going to lie. It took a toll on me. I was...
And you were intelligent. You
know how the campaign... I think I was doing a part-time job at the time. I was doing 2 part-time jobs that were formal in the UK. And then I had some in Nigeria as well. Now, for the ones in the UK, one was with the university that I was with Essex. So I was doing a comms job with the University of Essex, one of the departments there. And I loved it. I was like, yeah, back
on track.
And then COVID hit. And as soon as COVID hit, university started losing money, started losing funding. So one day I'm in my room and I just get an email, you have been placed on furlough.
Jesus.
That was the first time I heard about what furlough was. Furlough was, I think it's like compulsory leave or something like that. But we're still going to be paying me, I think 70 or 75% of what I would have earned for for I think maybe 2-3 months. They were still paying me. The government was paying, not the university.
Even
The government,
because
the government was paying because they know it's not my fault now. It's because of COVID and all of that.
Nigeria do that.
But obviously, 70 or 75% of my average earnings wasn't really going to sustain me.
Yes.
I had bills to pay.
Water,
UK, everything.
The weather.
So I had to take on another side job, and it was one day at that job, and one night. Just broke down. I'm like, bro, I'm an MBA graduate. I have an MBA, like distinction. It's not. I was like, nah. I couldn't do it anymore. So there was that, and just everything else happening. So when the Sterling job came through, I think I tried to delay for a couple of weeks to see if I could just find something else before but I think the ultimate deciding factor at the end of the day was me hearing clearly from God that this was a step to take, that I needed to come back to Nigeria. And I'm like, there were so many things I could have done, so many things, but I knew I had to obey, even though my obedience had small on my side, but I knew I had to obey, and then I came. So job hunting is mentally exhausting. And I'm just giving a shout out to anybody who's in that phase now. Hold on. I pray that God comes through for you. But I also pray that you don't lose yourself.
That's it.
That you don't lose yourself. I had a fantastic housemate, friend, roommate.
In UK, I was about to ask you that. How were you coping? It's not easy.
So I cannot tell my Union Bank or my UK story without her. We worked together in Union Bank. We planned our exit together. We moved to the UK together. We lived together. Wow. So we're basically... So I would not have survived without her. But that was a period where I was depressed. And we're both going through the same thing. So it's not as if maybe I had it better or she had it worse. We're both going... In fact, I could even say to some extent, maybe she had it a little bit worse than I did. But she just kept encouraging me. And there was this period one time when I couldn't even get out of bed. And she came to my room and she took small sticky notes and she just wrote really encouraging words and put them all around my room then. You're not a failure. You are, you're intelligent. You're this, you're God's child. She's just writing. And so in that moment, I'm like, I beg. But seeing those things every day for weeks and months did something, and I'm really, really grateful to her. Shout out to Udwak. I'm really grateful.
Okay, but just briefly, what were your parents saying about this when you say you don't come back to Nigeria? Did they have their own plans for you, or how are they feeling? What were they saying?
I think when God was sharing parents, I was probably the luckiest person. My parents, like, best in support, best in everything, best, absolute best, both of them. There was the day when I knew that I was coming back to Nigeria, I think I had maybe 2 or 3 weeks
Yes.
to just wrap up. And I was still sad. I was just praying to God for a last minute miracle. I had practiced how I was going to give the testimony that, I didn't have to come back to Nigeria. I got a job. Da, 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 da. And then I was on my way back from one of my side jobs. I was on a train and I was talking to my sister and then my dad. And they were just both trying to encourage me. And I just broke down and I was wailing. And my dad is like, why are you crying? What did you go to the UK for? Was it not to school? Yeah. You've gone, you've done it, and you've done excellently well. Come back. Like, he was like, come back. Like, why? I don't know why you're sad. Don't be sad. And he just encouraged me. And, my parents were probably the most excited people. They picked me up from the airport. They were so happy. So happy, so happy. They supported me. Everything I needed to settle back in, they were there. They are still supporting me till tomorrow. So, yeah, really grateful. Really grateful to them.
Okay, but with your story, it's clear that you have been blessed with good people.
Yes.
Good people around you, from friends, from the person that sent you the Union Bank, that slide Sterling, that went to school.
Yeah.
You've been blessed with friends. You also call yourself a happy child. You also call yourself a people person.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that was what first drew me to you. For context, I hosted TEDx last year, and I was like, why is Kelechi so excited, talking to everybody, chilling, and then someone just walks me and tell me that's the GM of Café One. I said, how is that kid? How is she the GM of Café One? You just checked on everyone. Oh, you were under tension because I kept telling you, how are you managing all this? And you're still smiling, chilling, and all of that. Yes, but I'll still get into that. But I want to then go into navigating, Sterling. It's banking. There's a lot of politics. There are policies as well. There are people. How did you manage not stepping on toes, growing in your ranks, and also changing your vision and joining Café One? Because, of course, Café One was not always part of your vision or your goal. You were not even part of the pioneering members. 2018, they just brought you in and said, this is your new goal.
Yeah.
So how were you able to change and follow the trajectory?
So there's no organization, group. Once people are gathered, there's definitely going to be, in quote, politics,
And
right?
conflict.
There's always going to be conflict. But I think that a testament of growth as an individual is how you're able to navigate all of that, right? So I knew from my time at Union Bank, from my time in the UK, from Federal Girls, from Covenant, like that once people are gathered, there will be, there'll be conflict, and you just have to make sure that you are treading as carefully. Keep your eyes on the goal. I mean, something I always tell people is eyes on the goal. Everything else is secondary. So eyes on the goal. So for me, joining Sterling, my eyes were on the goal. I feel like I've had unfair advantage. And people may not, people don't usually admit these things, but I will admit it. And my advantage has really been God. Sorry if it sounds like I'm over-spiritualizing it.
I understand.
But let me go back to when I was interviewing.
Yes.
I think the final interview to join Sterling Bank, I don't know how many of us we were, but there were a couple of us, right? Everybody else was in Nigeria, was in Lagos, Nigeria. Me and Udwak were the only two people that were not in Nigeria. So we joined, they had to set up like virtual Zoom distance. So I remember seeing into the boardroom, all of those people there.
Oh, wow.
And then me and Udwak were, in our small UK apartment, sitting in front of a computer and all of that. And when I then came back to Nigeria, some of them remembered me like, oh, you were that girl that was you were on the screen. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I recognize and I acknowledge and I appreciate the privilege because they could have as well said, Sterling could have said, you're not in Lagos.
Yes,
it's fine.
right.
This final interview is supposed to be for people that are in Lagos. You're not in Lagos, but they didn't. And for that, I'm grateful. I will not downplay that.
Yes.
So second thing is something that I try to live by, as hard as it is a scripture where and the Bible says, as much as it's possible, be at peace with all men. So when I encounter conflict with people, I do two things. I check the vision. And I ask myself, how does this impact the vision? How does this impact the bigger picture? How does this impact where I'm headed or what we're trying to achieve?
Yes.
And if it is going to grossly negatively impact that vision, I will just try to be the bigger person, no problem. I will be the bigger person. That kind of thing, right? I try to avoid it. I'm not a confrontational person. I know that I joke a lot and say, if you want someone to fight, call me. But then I only fight when I'm sure that I'm, like that this fight is for the greater good of the vision that we're pursuing. Yes. So one of my mentors, there's a day we had a mentoring session, and he said to me, Kelechi, you have to learn to die to self. I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you telling me to die to self? I think I'm very humble, And he just said, you might think in your mind that you're humble, but every time that you choose to place, this person said this about me, this person did it, above the vision, you have to remember that in the grand scheme of things, you're a small, small, small part.
Yes.
You must not place yourself above the vision. And that day, as angry as I was, with all that was going on, and just hearing him say those things, it gave me a mindset shift.
Yes.
So now, how do I handle conflict? How do I handle politics? How do I handle this is what I'm dealing with. This is the vision. The vision is here. Yes. These ones are small. I am just a tiny. So I don't see myself as anything. And I'm not trying to sound humble.
Yes, that's
as hard as it is, I don't see myself as anything. I just see myself as like a custodian. For the moment, I'm in charge of driving a vision, and I will do my part to drive that vision.
Yes.
People will annoy you, yes. Like, I don't know how to stay angry, first of all.
Okay.
I don't know how to stay angry at people. But even when you try to hold on, I'm just like, bro, at the end of the day, you're not really anything. So, vision above everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, vision above everything else, including me.
That's super. One of my very first meetings with you, you said something. You said, we are not family here. You said that and that struck me because I wrote it in my diary. And that's what a lot of people don't know. People assume that once you enter a place, you're not family. And so even if they make mistakes in the company, they feel like the person should not call them out and all of that. But then the vision of the company is one of the most important things, because a little mistake can actually wreck the company.
Tell me about it.
I can't hear my boss here. Yes. But anyways, let's go to your failed businesses. Then we get into Café One. You started a business at 16.
Yes.
Failed. Another one at 17. Failed. You did 20.
I'm an expert filler.
Failed. One of it was like maybe a fashion. You did fashion.
Yes, that was the very first one. Fashion.
Yes. Okay. So what was the issue? What do you think, based on what you know now, what do you think was the issue then?
So the issue was that when I read, this was many, many years later, I read the book, The E-Myth Revisited. And The E-Myth Revisited talks about, so let's assume you are a really good baker, right?
Yes.
You're good at baking. You hear people say, just start a business now, you can bake. But what they don't recognize is that the Tolu that is a talented baker is very different from Tolu, the business person.
Yes.
And it's very different from Tolu, the operations person.
Yes.
The problem is that in the world, not just Nigeria, we think that just because you are good at something, then you are good enough to make it a business. That's not true. So as much as I liked fashion, I was a little bit creative. I had that passion. It was not enough to run a business. And I wasn't doing it alone. I was doing it with some of my friends. And we were all young, all trying to, build something meaningful. I wish I knew what I know now. I wish I knew it then. Because what we would have done is, hey, you will be the primary creative person. Focus on the fashion side of the business. I'm a business person. Like I'm a
like money.
Numbers. I love money. I like it. So you be the business person. Focus on making sure that the business is making money. You help us standardize our operations. If three of us had done that, then Patch would still exist today. But it was just three people who wanted to be everything at the same time, and there was no structure. So it made sense
that's very true. Okay, but then Café One came. What do you think really changed as regards, field businesses? I know because stepping into Cafe One is a big shoe.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't part of your long-term goals, or and then you just come and say you want to be part of coffee. First of all, you might not know anything about coffee, you might not know anything about managing this,
Yeah.
how to satisfy customers and the co-working spaces and all of that. So how did you prepare to step into those big shoes, and how did they know that you were the woman for the job, or they just took a risk?
If you ask me, who will I ask? It was a big risk, which is why I'm eternally grateful for this opportunity. I remember where I was. I was at home. I was working from home that day. So I was just at my computer, and then I got an email. Say so and so. I'm like, I called. I said, I think you made a mistake. Oh, I think you were trying to send this email to Kelechi. So there was another Kelechi Nwa something. So I said, oh, maybe you're trying to send it to Kelechi Nwa and you sent it to Kelechi Nwaozuzu. Please check. I said, oh, no, you're the one. I'm like, are you sure? He said, yes. So I go upstairs. I go to my mom. I'm like, I'm going for this meeting. I don't know what's happening.
So you didn't have any prior inclinations or yeses from...
None. Not like none.
It's typical of bank.
And so I go to my mom. I said, I went to the meeting, interview. Let's just call it that. I went for the interview, and then I forgot about it, and I, left. The day I got the email, I remember where I was. I went to Abuja, and I was on my way back to Lagos. I just got off the plane. I was trying to just walk out of MM2. And I just look at my phone and I'm like, So, first thing I did to prepare, obviously, there was that initial excitement and then fear. And then, okay, good. You're done being afraid. You're done being excited. It's time to actually do the work. I am unable to speak about the journey without, talking about some people who basically just pushed me in the right direction. I talked about one of my mentors earlier. Unfortunately, I can't call his name here. Okay. But in fact, he's so hard on me sometimes that I used to be angry before until one day I sat down and I asked myself, hey, why is it that every time this person finishes telling you something, you check and you see that it was good though.
Yes.
They put you in the right direction.
Yes.
And then one of the hardest pills I had to swallow was that I discovered that I have the ability to become complacent. So when things are just, everything is nice and dandy, I can just fall into that. So it's always necessary when there's someone that will just shock you.
Yes.
That's one. Two is another one of my, I can call him a mentor now. He would read this book, do this, and everything. He's more like my sounding board now. If I'm experiencing anything difficult, it doesn't matter what it is about people, about that, I can just go to him and say, what do you think I should do? And I can bear it all and just tell him, rant. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, so how do you think I should deal with this? So there was a lot of personal development. There was a lot of reading. There was a lot of talk. I always say, after I got back to Lagos and I was preparing, I wasn't resuming until January. This was October or November. I went to all Café One locations. I spoke to everybody from janitor to manager. There were about maybe 40 people. I spoke to everybody. It was a long couple of days and weeks, but it was worth it because it gave me that just base understanding of what I was coming into.
Yes.
But I promise you, none of that could have prepared me for the actual reality
of everything. Yes.
But I think the most impactful thing has been learning on the job and just being open to learning and growing. I've dealt with things I never thought I would deal with. Oh God!
One of it is generator.
Oh,
inside joke. No.
so on that generator thing, I'm just speaking to the work generally. Many years ago, this is over 12 years ago, I was listening to a sermon by Pastor Kingsley Okonkwo. And PK said, try to know a little about everything. He said, yes, I know you're a woman and you don't like football, but just try, and that's sparked something in me. So from that day till now, I'm like, you know what? There is almost no conversation that they can be having in any room that I am in now that I will not know something about. Doesn't matter what it is. So, and then the way we were raised, my dad did not say, "Oh, you're a girl, go and sit down and lie." I dey wash car, I dey on gen, I dey change tire, I dey do everything.
Change lights.
What are you joking? Me where they draw gen.
My boss.
Come on. So there's almost nothing that I couldn't do, and I'm very close with my dad. So, you're going to go and let's go now. Okay, go and put on the gen, change oil, put fuel, all those things. They do them. See, don't worry. So just that curiosity to want to know a little about everything has helped. It has really helped. There's almost nothing going on in Café One. Doesn't matter the location that I am not somehow, I just want to be aware. I may not do anything about it, but just that general knowledge. And outside of Café One, just in life, something's happening in politics, something's happening in football, something's like there's almost no topic that, and sometimes maybe I don't really know, and I just do a quick crash course, just okay, cool, let's go, and we can talk about anything. So the older I've grown, my interest has also grown as well. There's a point when I needed to start learning about finance, about investing. I've taken so many courses in finance, like finance, trying to understand accounting, trying to understand, all of these little things, not because I want to be a subject matter expert, right? But because I just want to have basic knowledge. So very early on in my time in Café One, there was it was in business school. They said, as the CEO, as a leader of a business, you don't have to be the expert in finance, but you have to be intelligent enough and know enough about finance so that when the finance person comes to you and is sharing stuff, you're not looking lost. So you will hire subject matter experts. You will hire people that can do those things. Maybe it's a HR thing, maybe it's an operations thing, but you must be intelligent enough to understand what they're, otherwise they will boo you.
Of course.
So if someone comes down and says, we're about to buy this generator, and then sometimes I intentionally just drop small technical terms so that okay, so tell me, what's the capacity? How many kilowatts? And then I'm like, yes. So I mean, I was trying to buy something 2 days ago. This is not work, outside of work. I was trying to buy something, and then the lady was like, so I said, okay, so how many square meters is this? What? And I'm sure she was having who is this? But yes, I don't know everything, but I try to know a little about everything, and it helps.
That's powerful, because you already answered my next question about what's the most important leadership quality you've learned to help. But basically learning.
But then I remember my first meeting with one of my former bosses. So I was very nervous because I'd heard so much about him. I'd heard how smart he was. And so he comes on the call, he turns on his camera, I turn on my camera, and I said, so tell me about yourself. I don't know where it came from, but I just said, my name is Kelechi, and I'm really excellent at managing people and projects. And he's like, if this is true, then you're about to become one of my favorite people. So I paused, and I needed to be sure that I was not lying. So I asked myself, are you good at managing people? Yeah. Are you good at managing projects? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm not lying. Let's go. Wow. Until now, he's one of my my favorite people. And the trick is simple. I am extremely empathetic.
Yes.
Extremely empathetic towards people. I do not want to be led. I don't want to lead people the way I was led when I was younger. I want to try something different. I think it is possible to be empathetic and be excellent. I think it's possible. I can like you. That's why many times in meetings I would say to people I like you, but it doesn't mean that I will not tell you when you are not being excellent.
Yes.
So if I ever give you feedback, know that it's not coming from a place of me not liking you. It's just me trying to make sure that we're not losing track,
and the
right?
vision is
Go. So I can be empathetic, but I can also be excellent.
Yes.
And I stole this phrase from a friend of mine, but she says it's excellence or nothing, and I repeat it. I try to repeat it: excellence or nothing. If you're not going to be excellent, then don't do it. So people, I love people. I really love people, but it doesn't stop me from calling them out when they mess up.
Of course. It's part of love.
Exactly. I mean, say who the Lord loves, he chastises.
Chastises.
So why not if not? So yes. And because I'm always trying to make sure that I'm at peace with as many people as possible, it helps me work better with people. I just try to understand people, put myself in their shoes.
Yes.
And I'm not overly finicky about certain things, like in a more traditional workspaces. Like, I remember then, if I want to beg my boss for a day off, maybe it's for something important, though, you start faking sickness from like 3 days. You just, I'm not feeling well. Then you now cough when, so then, when now that's what I say, I'm not feeling fine.
Yes.
And they'll believe you, they'll not think you're lying. But now, if you like, call me in the one, as long as, I mean, obviously there's some roles that you cannot be that, you know, lackadaisical. But there's some others I'm like, okay, as long as you do it, like you have goals to meet, and you do it. Doesn't matter if you like, do it on your bed. Just get it done.
That's powerful.
Right?
Yes.
Just get it done. So again, eyes on the goal. I don't believe that the best way to get the best out of people is by, you know, everybody come and sit down in the office. If you like, go. I think remote work is even a scam.
Yes.
Because you don't know when I slept this morning.
Yes.
But there were days when I would be up 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like, what's 9 to 5? What's that? Like, I don't remember the last time I closed work at 5, right? Because for me, it's not about the time on the clock. It's what are the things that need to be done. And if that's how everybody else is, just as long as you meet the goals,
target,
that's
yes,
okay. Just don't be I don't like indiscipline. I don't like indiscipline. I like discipline. If we say we're going to be here, be here. If we say we're meeting at 2, be here at 2.
Yes.
If we say we're coming to the office, that kind of thing. So there's some principles, principles, right, that we stick to. But apart from that, I'm not really a stickler for, for the regular weekend.
Kelechi, you're preaching good. Anyways, okay, let's now get into Café One.
Okay.
So Café One had a vision. Of course, they sold that vision to you.
Yes.
So when they sold that vision to you, of course, Café One got exponential growth. Kelechi, if you're a pastor, if you don't open churches across, because we have hubs opening up, even at uptown. Yes.
So I cannot take credit for Café One's success. I can't.
The growth?
I can't take credit for Café One's growth. I can't take credit for a lot of the things that have happened.
Interesting.
Because that would be me being dishonest.
Okay.
Right? I am privileged to be the face people see. But behind the scenes, there are people that have done a lot of work and are still doing a lot of work. Sometimes I joke and I say to them, like, you will do all the hard work and you make me look good on the outside. Thank you. But that's real. Beyond even there are people that are thinking, there are people that are doing, right? So I cannot take credit. Yes, there are some things that, I know, you're driving a vision, but it would be dishonest of me to sit here and say, oh, it's me. No lie. There are people. Some of them are still with us in the system. Some are no longer with us. They've gone on to do greater things. Yes. But there are so many people, right? I think Café One vision is far, 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 far bigger than me. And this is just the beginning. So that's what even makes it more exciting. I'm just grateful that I get to be here at the moment and do that. I'm the face, but there's so much going on behind the scenes.
As much as you're the face, how do you ensure that there is a culture that is, of course, before I joined Café One, there was one thing you said. He says you want to ensure that everyone loves what they do.
Yes.
And that was what even drew me to. I said, yes, this is me. This is what I want to do. I want to do what I love and also call it my job.
Yeah.
And yes, you can call me to it and I will stand on it and defend myself.
That's the best place to be.
Yes.
Best place to be. When people love what they do, right? When they feel valued and they see the impact of the work that they do. Something I used to do when we're a much smaller team was always try to show people like the parallels and just show them like, hey, see, just as a result of what you did, the cleaner, if you were not here, this place would be dirty. Our customers would not be able to sit here. So what you're doing is important, we thank you for it. The baristas, if you were not here, we will not have this
coffee,
amazing cup of coffee, right? Everybody. So everybody's job is important. And it's important that people know that and they also love what they are doing.
Yes.
Again, I am doing what I love. I think I am the luckiest human being in the world that I've been blessed to do the jobs that I love. I'm not just showing up to work. See, God has been kind. I have never woken up one morning in all my years of working. I'm like, oh gosh, I have to go to this office again. Never. Every day I wake up, I'm like, yay.
So you
It's
love
another day.
Mondays. You love being.
Oh, Mondays are my favorite, the best day of the week. Best day of the week.
Wow.
I'm like, I have another opportunity to do
something.
what I love, you know, and I want that for everybody. Because when people feel that way, they put in their best.
Exactly.
They put in their absolute best. Like they're doing it from a place of. So when I interview people for roles, something I've sat in on Jesus.
Lots of
interviews, right?
GM.
I've sat in on a lot of interviews, but it's always clear to see who will do well and who will not, or who will survive or thrive in a role and who will not. Because when there's passion involved, when the person genuinely likes what they do, so I always check, like people rehearse the interview, I want to see the passion. I want to see that you actually you love it. You're not just taking the job for the money. You're not just taking the job. Those that have, maybe I didn't interview them and I just met them like, oh, this one is not going to be here for a long time. They just say they just want the money. But when you see people that do, and I tell people, I used to tell some of my colleagues, you know, I used to tell them, I said, when I see someone doing work with their heart, it shows. I can tell the difference between someone who's doing the job just because it pays them salary every 25th they get paid, and I compare it to the work of someone who is doing it because they love it, they see how their work ties into the bigger vision, like they are working towards a goal. Again, eyes on the goal, eyes on the vision. It's very different, you know. So you should love what you do. If you don't love what you do, look for it. There's a sweet spot, you know, and that's something we try to encourage as much as we can.
Yes. So for some reason, I studied civil engineering. You know, I always told.
Wow.
You cover that. You know, so my parents were always angry at me, this and that. So I said, if I don't find the job that I love to do, that I will be able to wake up every day and say I'm willing to go to work. You know, most parents just believe that you have to do the hard thing, sit down on the table, and most times a lot of people even go to tables and they just sit down all day doing nothing. You know, so that is very, very important.
The world has changed as well. You know, the world has changed. I mean, who would have thought that people would be making crazy money from being creators?
Dancing.
From dancing, you know. You're always on your phone. Every time you're pressing your phone. Now, I'm pressing my phone and making money.
Exactly.
From pressing my phone, you know. So,
you know, when I resumed and I told my mom, I manage Café One studios, I'm like, is that really a job? But like I said, yes, so I have KPIs for it too. And the beautiful thing is that you hold us accountable. Okay, you tell us, say what you will do, and okay, I'll meet you. If you say I'll get 10,000 followers on this account, you come and ask us because you said it by yourself. So you should know how you want to get there, and it even makes it easier as long as it aligns with the vision. But mine is how do you then instill a culture where whatever Café One they go to, they have a standard that they meet without you showing up in Uyo, without you showing up in Enugu.
There are some Café One locations that I don't think I have visited. Let me see. Is there anyone I haven't gone to? I don't think I have gone to. I won't say I won't say it here. But I think about 2 or 3 I can think of. I haven't had the time because I haven't done a lot of traveling in the last 6 months. But when we're going to open a Café One location, ensuring the standard is the same starts from the design phase, right? So there's some basic things that you know must be present in Café One. We must have ceiling speakers. We must have microphones. Because you must have
those little details. Ceiling speakers.
Oh yes. It's a very little.
I don't think you say.
We know the type of chairs we want.
Okay.
We know the type of tables we want. We know the size of the bar. We know, like, we've put in a lot of work to just determine all those little things, right? Now, that's on one side.
Yes.
Now, on the other side, it's the operationalization. So I call it operationalization because when the space is set up, we then have to give life to it. So operationalization is what gives life. We have standard operating procedures. We have documents that anybody can take and read and know that, okay, this is how Café One does their things, right?
Yes.
So much work has been put into those fine details that I can confidently go to sleep. We're opening 7 locations in, I don't know when this video is going to come out, but it's either they've already launched or they're about
Yes,
to
about
launch,
to launch,
right?
yeah.
7 new locations. I'm not going to be there at the 7 locations, but I can bet you that those 7 locations will be set up, and you will walk in and it's the same experience you will have, because a lot of work has gone into standardization, into ironing out those fine details, those little details.
Yes.
And then the people that are going to run those hubs or that are going to be responsible for those hubs, the franchise partners, the service ambassadors, they have been, they are aware, they've read these documents, they have them, they can always visit them. They've sat in on, sessions and just, so there's been a lot. And you can't, final thing I think that helps us at Café One is that you cannot just help but love the concept and love. So whenever people come in, like, they just come in and they see what we're trying to achieve and they're like, okay, I'm happy here.
Yes.
And they want to put in their work. So you see that thing about passion and loving what you do. It is a lot. Like, it's a huge, huge, huge addition for us. Meeting people, having the best people join our team, people who really enjoy being here. Yes. So I'm sure that because we've done, a lot of work to operationalize, to standardize. We have, standard operating procedures, all of those things. So earlier, I remember I said that in business there are 3 people. There's the person who can bake the cake, right? Yes. There's the person who's able to run the business side, and then there's the person who's able to doing well in operations. So it's like we're running like a well-oiled machine. There's a way things are done. You do it like this, you do it like that, and just that lift, drop. I can, and please, I hope my bosses don't see this video, but if you give me money, I can open 100 Café One locations and I will not break a sweat.
Yes.
Because that's how, detailed.
Yes, it's a modus operandi that lets everything
that we've been able
flow.
To. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, okay, at what point do you think there's any need for them to call you?
Who needs to call me?
If they, where do you think you are needed?
A lot of times I tell people that a bulk of my work as a leader is solving problems and removing blockers, right?
Yes.
So there's so many blockers every day, right? There's so many blockers every day. For some, what we've done over the years is we've identified some of the recurring blockers and we already have that solution, so you don't need to call me. But there are some, in business school, they call them wicked problems. Yeah. So there's some wicked problems that need like a little extra thought or, deliberation or so someone called me yesterday. I said, give me a few minutes, I need to think about it. So I'll sit down, deliberate. If I need to speak to other people, I speak to other people. If I need to consult higher powers, I consult higher powers. I need to speak to
higher powers. The God of the
higher
Bible.
Powers is maybe like
God of the Bible, Hebrew, Israel.
But yes, I do, and then we're able to make a decision. So leadership is really decision making. So most times people call me, maybe it's because they need to make a decision that is out of the norm, or it would cost something. Yes. So when they say how much, we cannot afford it to go back the other way, or okay, let's do this and let's try, let's see how it goes. So yeah. If they need to call me, it's if something that's maybe we know that we've designed it, I'm going to go from A to B to C, but then it's going from C to Z, and what's going on? So
yes. It's Kelechi, you're giving us a master class, and I'm not saying this because
bring my coins.
I told you have coffee. I'm not saying this because you are here, but I was telling a couple of, I said if I had like a top 20 women leaders, I would actually list you as part of it.
Thank you.
Because
thank you.
I see you as someone that does not just do it as, okay, they put me here. You do it as, this is my job. And I actually learned that a lot. By the way, you are born in August. I was also born in August. August 4th.
I think August babies are the best. I'd say it anywhere.
Yes.
I think we're the best.
Honestly.
And
sorry, Leos. Yeah.
We're just cool. Yeah. Like once I see I knew you were an August baby. I always knew.
So you take it as your own, and that's amazing because a lot of people don't like their job. People don't like what they do.
If you don't like a job, you can't really be excellent at
all, and it's very painful. Okay, so some people say the reason why Café One is successful is because Sterling is backing them. Sterling is there, so they can't, but at least spending a few time, I've seen that we actually make progress. We're actually doing something that actually we have a running business.
Yeah,
it's not just they are bankrolling us and all of that.
They should come and show me this bank that's really not.
You know.
I mean, I like when people who were naysayers before come into the system because they get to see that they see what we're building. They get to see like just the way it runs. And so I had an opportunity sometime last year to share with a group of people just like, oh, what Cafe One has. And when I was throwing some of the numbers, they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, what do you mean am I sure? Like, here's the proof, So we are trying to build something bigger than all of us that are here at the moment. If you met me 3 years ago, I would have probably introduced Cafe One to you, or I would have told you that I'm trying to build the Starbucks of Africa. I'm trying to build the WeWork plus Starbucks of Africa. I'm trying to build something much bigger than me. I never limited it to Nigeria. For me, it's always big. It's always been bigger.
Yes.
Much, much bigger than even Africa itself. But maybe I never conquer my own side. I won't go on that continent. It's always been much bigger. And this is day zero for us. That is what is scary for me. So when people say, oh, Cafe One is doing well, I'm like, okay. But we've not really, like, we're just getting started, surface, right? We're just scratching the surface. Yeah.
But I mean, I know that Cafe One is doing well. I'm an insider, but I can't just say. Okay, so for you personally, how do you stay humble? How do you keep your head low? How do you, because you're rising.
So I don't consider myself as anything. And I'm not, I said it before, I don't consider myself as, the way I look at myself, again, I said earlier that I'm blessed. I've been privileged, I've been privileged, and this is an opportunity that I'm eternally grateful for. I am not looking to use this opportunity to, wear shoulder pad or anything. I am interested in taking advantage of this opportunity and driving the vision.
Yes.
So in the earlier years, before we started putting more structure to things, there'll be days we'll go to open new locations and I'll get there and I'm seeing that, and this is the way I used to force myself to do something, or force us. I would put a date. I'll say, okay, we are launching on the 12th of December, for example. We'll design invitations, we'll send it out. Because I'm like, see, we will do it. If we are not ready by this 12th of December, we embarrass ourselves in public and we'll be on CNN. So everybody knows that, 12th of December, it doesn't matter, we'll carry. So I'll get to those locations. Maybe there's a table to be moved. I'm like, what are we? What's the goal? To move a table, right? Okay, I'm trying to move a table. I'm like, no, leave it. I'm like, why? Demand break. We need to move the table. Everybody else is doing stuff.
Yes.
There's no time. Yes. And you're saying I should not carry the table. Who am I? And I'm not trying to, I'm not doing it because I want people to like me.
Yes.
Remember, my mentor kept telling me, die to self. Hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've had to do is just let go of that need for people to like me. If you like me, that's cool. I like you too. If you don't like me, that's cool. I still like you.
Self-awareness.
So, and then God, I am a custodian for now. Tomorrow it could be something else, right? And final thing is, I'm not only accountable to the system, because there's a system, right? I have a board I report to. I have people that I report to and I look up to and things like that. But I'm also questioning, like, if God should see me tomorrow and say, this opportunity I gave you, what did you do with it? I want to be able to say, yes, I actually did the work. Like, it will not be said that Kelechi did not try. It will not be said that I did not put my best. It will not be said that I did not, So it's beyond the now. And then finally, I know I've said finally 2 times, but this is the final thing. There's this pride that you feel when you do something and you do it well.
Yes.
Have you ever cleaned your room before and you just stand there like, wow,
what?
So clean and nice, no wrinkle on the bed. That sense of pride, right? I take that very seriously, right? When it comes to my work. That is why when we're not doing the things we're supposed to do,
Yes.
I feel it because I'm like, it's a dent on me and on, on all I represent. I cannot be saying like, oh, I'm pushing for excellence. It will not be said that, at the end of the day, this happened and it was me who was there. It doesn't speak well of me. I think that because I am a Christian, and I'm sorry to again delve into, but I think that because I'm a Christian, I'm held to a much higher standard. I should be the best at what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so that's what sort of keeps me.
Yes, as we gradually wrap up the show, because this is amazing. I'm enjoying the conversation, but my Oga's other places to be. Yes. Okay. So I heard you say once that coffee is one of like the second
most traded commodity after oil.
I didn't believe it until I actually searched, and I already realized that coffee is actually.
You people think I'm lying? Come and start coffee business. That's the new oil.
Yes. So are you saying what is the future of Café One, co-working? Of course, we've started doing media. We're delving into others. That's why we have Café One Studios.
Yes. So, because our name is Café One doesn't mean we're only about coffee, right? Remember I said earlier that this is still day zero for us. But in the short time that I've been here, we've evolved. If you asked me 3 years ago about Café One, I'd say we're a coffee shop. Because I felt like we're not really highlighting that part. I felt like people always say, oh, Nigeria is not a coffee drinking economy, blah, 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 blah. But that's changing.
It's changing.
Café One is still at the forefront of driving that.
Yes.
I think about 4.5% of Nigerians drink coffee at the moment. I want to be here when that number is 20%. Wow. But I'll say yes, it was Café One that was behind it. But apart from that, beyond the coffee, there's a co-working, which is like even the first thing that we are known for.
Yes.
That we're co-work space. People where you want to do productive work, come to meeting rooms, come to our office spaces. You don't want to rent an office.
Networking with people.
Exactly, you meet people. At the core of everything that Café One does, you would see that the central theme is community.
Yes.
The central theme is community.
Yes.
So plus the coffee, the co-working, the studio, everything. We're trying to build a thriving community of people.
I think that's why this logo is here. And
your head is working. I've always hoped that somebody will ask me, what does Café One logo mean? If you look at the logo, it's different people and they're connected, right?
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do at the core of who we are, is community. And that's our focus.
Yes.
At least for the foreseeable future, we're trying to build thriving community of people. We know that different people are interested in different things, right? But at the center, I want to be at the center. It's media that's your own good.
Yes.
Welcome to Café One Studios.
Yes.
If it's tech, welcome to Café One, where you can meet other tech people.
Yes.
If it's film, welcome to Café One, where you can meet other people interested in film. Yes. As long as you're interested in community, then Café One is where you should be.
If it's art, because there's art everywhere.
Anything,
around,
So we're just trying to build a thriving community of people. And it's a strong mandate, but we go run them.
We run them now, definitely.
We go run them.
As we're wrapping up, my boss, let's go back again to Covenant University. Let's just do some little reminiscing. How was Covenant for you in your old days?
Loved it.
Did you meet Dr. Azu? Was he one of your lecturers?
Mr. Azu was my mentor.
Are you serious?
He was my first course
this video
advisor.
go viral.
No, wait first. Wait.
Was your mentor?
Let me redeem myself.
Okay.
So, when I joined Covenant University, and I'll keep it brief, my first week, he was my course advisor or assistant course advisor or whatever. And he had organized a session where he was speaking to us about, how to make the most out of your time in CU, the whole CGPA calculation. Yes. So Azul basically helped set me on track, right? And so I was like, nice, cool guy. I didn't know anything about him. I hadn't heard anything about him. So I'd occasionally go to him because I wanted to do well, Final year.
Yes.
And this is probably what will redeem me. And shout out to Dr. Azul. You're still my guy. I just felt like he was losing track. He was not the guy I used to know. So one day I was in CDS. I didn't have classes. I didn't have anything at this. So I was just dressed a bit down, just dressed down. And then he saw me. And he said something. And I told him, I said, I'm not happy with you. I can't remember the exact way I put it. But I was like,
you're very forthright. You just went straight to the point.
I just told him, he was like, what's the problem? He said I should go and fast and pray. I'm like, this is not about me fasting and praying. Like, I don't think you're being fair. you know. And that was the last like proper interaction that I had with him. Of course, apart from my first year, I don't think we had any other like really close engagement. For my first year though, fantastic guy. He was he helped set me on the right track. But by final year, we had fallen apart a bit.
But for some reason, I liked him because I liked him as a man, not by the things he did.
Yeah. He's very principled.
He always showed up.
He's very, very principled.
He dressed well. He's intelligent.
Very.
I can never forget my TTG where he taught us about deep work. That stuck with me. I even said I sent him a message because he always follows me on LinkedIn. Deep work. I've read it. Cal Newport. Yes, and some other of his materials. I read it. He taught about itself in our final year, and then I spoke to him. He texted me on LinkedIn when he was seeing some of my works and some of the guests. He was, I don't know, Sam, I'm going to invite you because I just want you to talk to the generation.
No, so if I say who my second mentor is or was and see you, they will drag me.
Talk to me.
But Dr. Ludayo,
I used to
love him. Fadubad, Ludayo, whatever name you know him as.
Same.
Love him till tomorrow.
Yes.
Till tomorrow. Like he would reach out. You know, we still was at least once in a while we still talk, and I love Dr. Ludayo. A huge part of who I am today is him. He taught me how to speak in public. Wow. He taught me, you know, how to express myself. Yes. He gave me my first big break when I started my events planning thing. And it wasn't because I had any like personal relationship with him. He just saw something in me and he's like, yeah, I'm going to support this person and I'm going to build this person. So shout out to Dr. Ludayo.
Dr. Ludayo, yes. Dr. Ludayo too, when I got to the current base, I just like that he had charisma, he could speak.
You know the people you see and be like, I want to like this person. I want to be like this person.
Yes. You know, he could speak, he would come on stage, there was command and everything. And then I got getting close to him. He also trained me on public speaking and all of that. So when I started becoming an emceeing big events, he would always cheer me in the comment sections like, you don't even know that you inspired me and all of that. But like, so like, let's talk about Papa and then we close the show. How I heard you say one time that he's one of your mentors. What is a major thing that you think he shaped you for? Like,
Papa is my picture of possibilities. I know we used to recite it like this thing, but like just by being in Covenant University, by listening to Papa, by experiencing him, my mind was opened. Like my mind was opened. It was not. I was not limited anymore. I felt like I could do anything. I could achieve anything. I could do it. Like if Papa can do this, then like so you know that possibility mentality. For me now, there's nothing that is out of reach. Nothing is out of reach. Nothing is too big. Nothing is impossible. There's nothing I cannot do.
Achieve. True.
There's nothing. I mean, people can do it. Then what am I doing? You know. And then his discipline.
That's what keeps me.
I was telling someone yesterday, because my current life. Don't try and kidnap me, you'll not find me. But I wake up really early in the morning. I go to the gym, come back, and then I go to work. And I so like I was just like, discipline is so hard. It's so hard because it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter whether I slept by 4. I know that I have to be up by 5:45.
Yes.
Every day. But then when I want to get tired and I look at people like Papa, I'm like, if this man could do it, bro, wake up.
Kelechi, by 5 a.m., Papa is for 5:30, he's on the altar preaching at Covenant Hour of Prayer every day.
Oh, yes.
I heard that he has never missed a Sunday service in the last 10 years.
He has never missed a Sunday service.
If you tune in, you see him wearing suit. I'm like, how does this man do it? It's just discipline. And
so while I was lamenting, I then said something. I said, you know why I will keep at it? Because on the other side of disciplined me is a better version of myself.
Yes.
So seeing people like Papa do those things from that early age, you know, I tell people hate Covenant University all you want, but you cannot go through Covenant University and come out with the same mindset. 2 things you will live with. 1, you will be punctual. Because they did not born you well. That service is starting by 8 o'clock.
You're giving me PTSD.
And you are not in the hall by 7:45 or something. You will be... I was in attendance unit. People didn't like me, but...
Shout out.
Someone walked up to me after TTG. Said, you don't have power again. But you will be punctual. And it has helped in my, life at the moment. But the second thing is, your mind will be open to possibilities. It doesn't matter where you came from. So, for example, and just as I close, if you're from a family where nobody has ever earned up to 200,000, you would probably think that the best you can do is 200,000
Yes.
as a salary, or nobody ever went to school, nobody ever started a business or successful, nobody ever did that. You'll be limited. But when you come out and you see people who have done, my brother called me a couple of weeks ago, my older brother, and we were talking about some things, and he stopped. And he said, can we pause for a minute and just think about the fact that we are talking about things that we don't think anybody in our generation has ever touched.
Wow.
And I was just like,
At the young age.
And I just said, so thankful. When I was a CEO, I just want a job that will pay me 150K. They'll just pay me 150K. Now, picture of possibilities. My mind is opened. My mind is opened. There's nothing too high, nothing too big, nothing too out of reach. I can stand in any room today, anywhere in the world. My business class, we were 50-something different countries of the world, and I just look at them, I'm like, I'm not better than you. The fact that I'm from Nigeria and from America, okay, nice, well done. So picture possibilities, and it's exciting.
My Oga, Kelechi Nwaozuzu. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelechi, let me give you your flowers. You're an amazing person. I'm not saying this because you're my boss or anything, but even if you were not, I always looked at you and said, no, Kelechi is different, she's exceptional.
Thank God.
And I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you for loving people, because I see that in you. Even your shout, even when you shout at us, it sounds cute. I love it.
I don't shout, what's that? This is how I talk all the time. Yes, very calm.
But like you said, it's for the vision, and that is very, very important. I want to ask you just one question, but you can answer briefly.
Okay.
Are you setting up companies too? Do you intend to set up a company?
Well, or
do you enjoy being a manager or just working with other people?
I've always loved building things, right? And I will keep building. That's the simple way I'll put it. I'll keep building. I have a lot of people who reach out, a lot of my friends, and when they reach out and they ask questions about, I'm like, but this is simple now, just do ABC. And they're like, oh my God, wow. I'm like, I didn't really say anything that deep, but it just helps me acknowledge the fact that I'm learning a lot, and I think I'll keep building. I don't know what the future looks like, but we'll see.
Which one will you pick? What will you choose, revenue or cash flow?
They're the same thing, kind of. Because if you're making money, if you're making revenue, then cash is flowing through the business. I'll pick profits. Because that's how I can fly to Maldives.
Ladies and gentlemen, the General Manager of Café One. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us free hand. Thank you so much for buying my ideas. This is our conference room, but I had to model things. My own meeting, Kelechi said, if you want to move a table somewhere, I said, okay, I held on to that. And I knew that I was going to come to the conference room just to align with the vision. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope Café One scales higher and higher and higher.
Amen.
Yes. And next time you guys will be watching this video, don't worry, we'll have opened a Café One in Mars.
At this point, you never know.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This episode is brought to you by Café One Studios. Café One, the #1 co-working space in Nigeria, the #1 coffee makers in Africa, and maybe even around the world. We are competing with Starbucks, so they drag us. Yes. Remember to subscribe, turn on the notification button, and leave a comment and share so that the algorithm can boost this video. Kelechi spoke about journey from FGGC. I wanted to drag you from that place.
No feature.
Yes. To Covenant University, to Slying KPMG, moving to Union Bank. She also spoke about Sterling, and now the General Manager of Café One. And that is an amazing conversation. My name is Tula Flaka, and see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.